Hello, my name is John Millar. I'm a Qigong practitioner working with Parkinson's Current Support UK. And what I'd like to do in this session is to explore one of the practices that we use within the 4 o'clock online Zoom sessions that we do every Wednesday, which is a 1-hour session that we use Qigong in order to help people with a Parkinson's diagnosis to become more mobile and to find ways to work with the symptoms and ultimately to find ways through. So the technique we're going to be looking at today is called Taiji Ball. And Taiji Ball is it's a practice that you'll find similar movements in most schools of Qigong. In the more traditional schools it gets called Dragon Dao Yin, it gets called Dragon Work because it's a very serpentine movement. And to give you an idea of what it looks like in full practice, we tend to have it in horse stance, so it's low form with the hands spiraling. So the whole body is moving. So this is wonderful to do, but is it really that practical? And the answer, I'm afraid, has to be no. So what I want to do is make this practical, make it something that you can really work with. You're welcome to go and engage in the full form, in the full practice. But you need to find a way to get there that isn't just trying to get to the full practice. You need to find the benefits as you move through. So within the sessions that we do within Parkinson's Care and Support UK, I always endeavour to keep the movements symmetrical. The idea is that if you have one side that has got a limitation of movement, so you have one side that is weaker than the other, using movement that, you know, we run this side round, for example, and then we run this side round, it'll probably reinforce the idea that one side has got limitation or more limitations than the other. So I always try to work with this balanced practice. But having said that, I'm going to break my rule on a couple of occasions here. So hopefully you'll understand why I'm breaking the rules and you'll bear with me. So, the other thing to say about Taiji Ball is that although you can talk about the accuracy, you can talk about the physical sort of way that we do this, I've been taught it by 3 different teachers from China, and every single one of them has taught me differently. The piece that when you dig into it, what you find out is that your practice is already perfect. If today your practice looks like this, that's a perfect representation of where you are today, so enjoy. But know that tomorrow it can be different. Tomorrow there could be more movement, tomorrow there could be less movement. It ebbs and flows on a daily basis, so enjoy this practice as it moves with you, as you play with it. Because it's a great way to explore where you are on any given day. It's also a great way to create space and relaxation and opening in the body, so we can watch ourselves progressing. But in order to play with it, we need to explore some of the details that sit within it. So I have with me in the yurt today a handy prop. Traditionally, within the Qigong system, Taiji Ball is practiced with balls. But I haven't got any balls in the yurt. But what I do have is a couple of little teacups. I quite like using teacups. I like using something that you're a bit more aware that you really shouldn't drop it. But it has to be something that sits comfortably in the palm of the hand. And I also like to have something that's easy to grab if you feel as if you might drop it. So there's a bit of jeopardy, but ultimately there isn't that much danger. So if you can find something that is like this in your own house, something that you can put into your hand, you only need one. I've got 2 because I'm being greedy today. And we're going to break this rule of symmetry and work with one side at a time. So the first thing that we do is we allow the hand to rest facing upwards in front of the navel, and then we spiral the hand up with the cup on the hand, all the way up to the top. We then pull the thumb forwards and allow the hand to spiral out into the far distance with the cup on the hand. And again, pausing here is a really useful thing. We'll cover that one in a minute. Then the thumb draws back underneath the armpit in front of the abdomen. So the movement, it spirals up the front out and back, up the front, out and back. And you'll probably notice that today I've got quite a lot of movement going on. You may not, it doesn't matter. Okay, so other than having the cup in the hand that can guide, there's one other technique that we can work with, or we can look at, that helps to get this movement working well. And the idea is that when we're using this rising form, it's the thumb that leads the movement. So the thumb is turning. And when we get to the top, the thumb draws forwards. The thumb goes out into the far distance, and then it's the thumb that comes back under the armpit. So the thumb always leads the movement in the rising form. Okay, and because it can be easier to see this from the back, I'll do a couple of times facing away from the camera. So here the hand is coming in front of the abdomen, and it spirals up, it spirals out, and spirals back, up, out, and back. One more, up, out, and back. Okay, so that should give you an idea of how it works on the right hand side, or whichever side you started with. Let's go to the other side. So breaking the rules, but everybody has a difference between either side. So it's worth just having a play on each side so you can just become familiar with the movement. And here, again, hand in front of the navel, palm facing up, cup on the hand. And then leading with the little finger, the hand spirals up into the blue sky and it pauses at the top. Hand spirals out into the far distance. Pauses, connected out into the far distance. Then the thumb draws back under the armpit, the hand spirals back in front of the abdomen. So spirals up, out, and back, up, out, and back. Once more, up, out, and back. And then we'll do 3 with me facing away. So again, you can see what it looks like when I'm facing away. So it spirals up, out, and back, up, out, and back. One more, up, out, and back. Okay, so this gives an idea of how the practice works when we're working individual sides. But as I said at the beginning, we like to work symmetrically. So when we work symmetrically, I've got another cup here. So we've got a cup in each hand. So whatever object you're using, you can use one in each hand to explore this, or you can just be familiar with the practice through the single-sided version and try it. But the idea is the hands come in front of the abdomen. Keep the elbows quite open here. And then allow the hands to spiral up, all the way up into the blue sky, and pause. The thumbs draw forwards, the hands spiral out into the far distance. And you'll see here that you don't get so much movement in the body. The focus is more into the spine. The hands draw back under the armpits. Squat down slightly, spiraling up, out, and back, up, out, and back. And then the other thing that we do with the practice is that we reverse it. So when the hands are at the top, this time we draw down through the center of the body. And at the bottom, unlike the way up, which is led by the thumbs, this is led by the little fingers. So the little fingers push back, the little fingers spiral out and forwards and up and draw down. So these are the two variations that we're going to work with today. We're going to work with the symmetrical rising and the symmetrical drawing down. So hopefully there's enough there that you can have a play with it, you can become a little bit more familiar with it. But ultimately, it really doesn't matter how good you are at the practice. What it's about is, can you take this idea, can you use this movement in order to create some space in the body, in order to invite some blue sky in. So let's come into a short period of practice where we can just become familiar with the way it feels. So only a very short piece, but please feel free to take this and work with it by yourself. And then once we've finished the practice, we'll just cover a couple of little tips and techniques that you need to bear in mind when you work with this by yourself. So, to start, we come into a Qigong state. So there are 4 steps. The first step, relax the body. So here we just take a moment to soften the neck, soften the mid-back, rotate the shoulders, mobilize the whole body, and then we can allow ourselves to gently sway. So we're shifting the weight around the bottom of the feet. Whatever technique you can find to get to a relaxed stance. And this, a bit like the Taiji Ball practice, changes on a daily basis. It continues to evolve. But a good trick is to notice the breath. If the body is relaxed, the breath settles very, very easily. We're able to draw very soft breaths without any effort. So step 1, relax the body. Step 2, quieten the mind. Notice the space between thoughts. Maybe notice the breath, but allow the mind to be quiet. Step 3, expand the mind out, expand the awareness out. Become aware of the sounds around you, become aware of the space around you. And then step 4, bring the mind home. Come back inside with an intention for the practice. The intention we'll use for this is qi flowing well through the whole body. Qi flowing well through the whole body. Okay. And then to start the practice, one hand, again breaking the rule slightly, reaches out and gathers blue sky, gathers qi back into the abdomen. Then the other hand reaches out and gathers blue sky back inside. Alternating hands, drawing qi back inside. The lovely thing about this movement is the body is free to move. We're able to mobilize the ankles, mobilize the knees, change the position in the feet, turn the waist. Everything can move. But the idea is simply reaching out, gathering blue sky, drawing blue sky back inside. Very quiet, very centered. Couple more times. The next time the hands come back in front of lower dantian and in front of the abdomen, allow them to pause. Then repeat the movement, but symmetrically. So both hands spiral out and gather back. And as they gather back, squat down slightly, sink the tailbone down. As the hands spiral out, lift Ba Hui, lift the crown, stand up a little straighter. Squat down slightly, draw chi in, spiraling out, draw chi in, spiraling out, and draw chi in. Hands pausing in front of lower dantian, then palms turn to face up, and they spiral up into the blue sky, all the way up to the top, and they pause connected up into blue sky. Whole of the front of the body is open, and then the thumbs draw forwards, the hands spiral out into the far distance, connecting out into the far distance. And the trick here is for the mind to be connected out into the far distance. If the mind connects into the body, it'll probably be uncomfortable, so we can use this to train the mind to go beyond the physical limitations of the body. And then draw the thumbs back under the armpits, gather in, squat down slightly, and then spiral up, spiral out, and back, up, out, and back, up, out, and back. One more. Up, out, and back. All the way up to the top, and we pause at the top, connected up into blue sky. Then change direction, draw chi down. Most important thing, draw chi down here. Little fingers push back and they spiral out and up, and draw chi down. Spiraling out and up, draw chi down. Out and up, draw chi down. So the first part we lift chi up, the second part we draw chi down. Allow the hands to pause in front of lower dantian. Then another option, and a nice way to draw the practice to a close, is draw the feet together. And again, little fingers push back so the hands spiral out and up. So this is the draw chi down, but with feet together it's slightly different. Noticing upper dantian, the centre of the head. Noticing middle dantian, the centre of the chest. Noticing lower dantian, the centre of the abdomen. Then little fingers push back, the hands spiral out and up. Draw chi down. Once more, out and up. Draw chi down. Down into lower dantian, and the hands pause in front of lower dantian. So the whole body here has been mobilized. Chi is flowing well, but the mind comes to rest in lower dantian. And to draw the practice to a close, we always relax the hands to the side, the hands spiral out and gather back. One hand on top of the other, on top of the navel. Bring the mind back home, come back inside. And here we can enjoy this sensation that we've opened up all the space in the body. We've gathered chi. Chi is abundant. We're full of potential. But we can enjoy being relaxed and calm in this space. And then to ease out, relax the hands to the sides, ease back into movement. and we finish the practice with a joyful exclamation in Mandarin. We always do in Qigong, and the exclamation is Hao La. Hao is good, La is already. So we raise the hands, and on the count of 2, 1, 2, Hao La. Oh, one more, just because I enjoy it. Hao La. So, thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of this. A couple of little tips to help with practice, should you want to take this away and do it by yourself, which I would thoroughly recommend, because this is something that you can work with for yourself. And the first tip is that although we always work with the rising to start with, always finish by drawing down. And you haven't got to do the full spiraling practice. You can simply draw Qi down and draw Qi down. And at the end, always bring the hands back onto the abdomen. The reason? This rising practice connects up all kinds of things. It can make us feel quite heady. It can make us feel very energized. It's a great state to go into when you're in the Qigong practice. But outside of the Qigong practice, be here, be centered. So coming back down and allowing yourself to be here is a far better place to be. So always come to this point in closing. The practice is completely safe. It's not going to knock you off balance, but this is a great way just to make sure that you are following the rules and just sort of coming back into your center. Okay, so that's the first point. And the second point is, if you want to explore some of the sort of depth of the practice, it can be really good to pause when you get to the upper dantian, the space in the head, and notice the space between thoughts. Okay? When you draw down, notice the space in the chest, notice middle dantian. Take a moment here. And then draw down again into the space in the abdomen, lower dantian. And take a moment here. Within practice, these 3 centers connect. These 3 aspects of ourselves connect. And Taiji Ball is designed to connect up the whole body, to get everything working well together. So you can go to quite a depth of practice with it, or you can simply enjoy the movement, and it's up to you. So thank you for your time. Hope to see you at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays. Take care.